Welcome back to Let's Learn LaTeX. Today I'm just going to be making a quick document as I start to study for comps. So the document is going to be on abstract algebra, and I'm going to just be taking some notes out of Dummit and Foote's third edition of abstract algebra. So let's begin. So I'm going to start up a new document here, and the title of this is going to be abstract algebra, and I want a little space, and I'm going to call this polynomials. So basically right now what I'm going to be working out of is chapter 9 of Dummit and Foote's book, and this chapter is called polynomial rings. So I'm going to begin a section, and I want the section to be called chapter 9 polynomial rings. And because I don't want it to start labeling the sections for me, I'm going to put an asterisk here. So now if I go do my quick build, it's going to say I can't build it because again I haven't saved it yet. So I'll Control S, go over here, and call this polynomials. Okay, so now I should be able to build my document. There we go. Chapter 9 is polynomial rings. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to type down all of everything. I'm just going to make a quick list of some of the theorems and some of the definitions that I don't feel really comfortable with. So feel free to skip around throughout this video. If you want to just go to the end of the video and see what my final document looks like, you're more than welcome to do that and just skip through the video to find what you want to find. Okay, so let's start off with a proposition. The first thing I want to do is I want to label this as a proposition, and how I like to do that is you can either type text BF to get boldface text, or you can just hit Control B, just like you do in Word. So this is a proposition. I'm just calling all propositions, corollaries, and lemmas theorems as I study. So I just have a big list of theorems. And this is theorem 9.1. And what this says is let R be an integral domain. Then what we have is going to enumerate because there's a couple different things, and we have our first item is the degree of p of x times q of x is equal to the degree of p of x plus the degree of q of x. Our second item is the units of r of x are the units of r. And our third item is that r of x is an integral domain. So here we're good to go. So let's just keep moving. So because I'm eventually going to want to prove this, I'm just going to put in backslash begin proof. And that'll bring up end proof. But we see if I compile this, all it says here is proof, and there's a box, there's nothing else there. So I'm just going to go through and type up some of this. I will be back if I talk about anything interesting. So something that I just typed that might be worth pointing out is that if you're doing the underscore, what that does is instead of making it a superscript like the caret does, the underscore makes this a subscript. And another thing that is worth mentioning here is that if you're putting something as an exponent or something as a subscript, what you want is you want to make sure that if you have more than one thing, so here I have x sub n minus 1, I want to make sure that the n minus 1 is in the curly braces, so that when I compile my document, the n minus 1 is all a subscript. If I write this without the curly brackets, what I end up with is x sub n minus 1. So I'm going to go ahead and put those back on, recompile. And we see the document's coming along nicely. I'm about to be on the second page here in a second, and I think everything looks good except for right here. I don't like how there's this indent next to the word example. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find that example, and I'm going to put no indent next to it. And now we see that if I recompile my document, there's no indentation next to example. Okay, so something else that I want to point out is I have my notes for section 9.1 written up. So what I had is I have chapter 9, polynomial rings, and now I want to distinguish between both of my couple sections. So what I'm going to do is right towards the beginning of our document, I had section chapter 9 was polynomial rings. So I'm going to jump into section 9.2, and I want to make it clear to myself as I go back and I review over these things that I know which section I'm in. So instead of just looking at sections, we could look at a subsection. And I want the one with the asterisk, and this is section 9.1. And this section is called definitions and basic properties. So now we see when I compile it, I'll see chapter 9 is polynomial rings and section 9.1 is definitions and basic properties. So what I'm going to do now is as I'm jumping into the next section, I'm going to type in subsection again, and this section is called polynomial rings over fields 1. Section 9.2, polynomial. And now we see when I compile my document, as I start typing my notes in here, it's clear that now I am in section 9.2. And I think that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys got a little bit of something out of it. I know I didn't really talk about much new, but I thought you guys would like to see how I go about writing up a document, just a short little taking notes for my classes. If you guys liked it, hit the like button. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. If you have any topics that you'd like me to discuss, you can feel free to leave those in the comments as well. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and I will see you guys in the next one.